Hello guys, welcome back to Ruben Tech. I got a very complicated one for you today on the BOI Beneficial Ownership Information Act. If you are a small business owner, you probably want to hear this though, especially if you are incorporated, because I do believe this does apply to you. So basically, I made a video on the 25th about this. I was feeling very defeated, and at the time we were required to be in compliance with this act. Now, if you don't know what this is a new law that went into effect last year, where basically if you own a small business, so potentially 32 million small business owners that have revenue under 5 million and are not large corporations, okay, you have to file this burdensome report. And when I say this, I do want to preface that I'm not a lawyer, I'm not a tax accountant, I'm not anybody that's giving advice on this. These are just my opinions, okay? I find this unnecessarily burdensome, okay? That's just my opinion. And they're doing that they're just throwing out this wide net in the hope of grabbing some petty cash laundering, okay? Which I'm not going to say it's not a crime. Yeah, sure, it's a crime. But they're basically doing a speed trap where they're pulling every single person over, or not speed trap, what do you call it? A drunk driving checkpoint, where they're going to pull over 32 million, up to, I don't know how many exactly, but potentially 32 million small business owners. Probably 99.999% of us are law-abiding citizens, and they're going to inconvenience us to catch just a couple people laundering money. Like, do some other method, find some other police work. Don't be putting an unnecessary burden on us and threatening us with 2 years imprisonment and $500 a day fine if we're not in compliance. And this is the federal government, okay? I incorporated with the state of Wisconsin, not with the federal government. If you incorporate a small business, you incorporate with the state, not with the federal government, okay? And so of course people appealed this, and in the state of Texas, it was found to be unconstitutional. It was overturned, and then the government went ahead and they appealed that. And the day before I made this video, that appeal, it was not overturned, but the stay of the law, right? It was stayed. Sorry, the decision was stayed during the appeal. And so what that meant is that you now had to file. It's very confusing. And I'm going to go through this with you. But first, before I do, I want to bring up a point. I want to give a shout out to Jera616. Jera, unfortunately, YouTube is not showing your link. You had 2 great responses in here. I don't know where they went. I can see them in my YouTube studio. I did not delete them. I want you to know that. I think it's because maybe you had a link in it. But he sent me this link, right, to this document from the United States Court of Appeals for the Fifth Circuit. And we will read this, but instead, before we do, we're going to go to offenseinsight.gov. This is the official site of the BOI Report. And they give the update on here, and they kind of explain it really nicely right here. On December 23rd, 2024, a panel of the U.S. Courts of Appeal for the Fifth Circuit granted a stay of the District Court's preliminary injunction entered in Texas Top Cop Shop Incorporated. So this is where they said, hey, the lower court had went ahead and it had said this is unconstitutional. We're going to stay that. So once they said it's unconstitutional, you didn't have to file. But now on December 23rd, they stayed that. So all of a sudden you had to file. And that's where 2 days later I made that video. I was like, you know what? I'm really disappointed, but I'm going to fall into compliance. I don't want to be the one guy that they pick out to make an example of. You know, even though I'm law abiding, they'll be like, oh, you need to file. You got to do this. You didn't do it, you know. So I went ahead and I filed. And then, of course, 1 day later, Treasury immediately issued an alert notifying the public of this ruling and recognizing that reporting companies may have needed additional time to comply with the beneficial ownership reporting requirements, so they extended it. Treasury extended reporting deadlines. However, on December 26, 2024, a different panel of the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Fifth Circuit issued an order vacating the court's December 23rd, 2024 order granting a stay of the preliminary injunction. So you had this preliminary injunction, it was stayed, okay? And then they vacated that. And they said that on December 31st, 2024, the Department of Justice now, on behalf of Treasury, saw a stay of the injunction pending the ongoing appeal from the Supreme Court of the United States. So what does that basically mean? It basically means that we had to file it. Then the guys won in Texas. We didn't have to file it. The government appealed and the court looked at it and said, okay, during your appeal, we're going to stay this. And then somebody came and said, no, we're going to vacate that stay and we just keep the constitutional status quo as it is. And then the government came back and said, we are seeking an injunction to stay that decision while we go for an appeal from the United States Supreme Court. What does all that mean? It means that right now this is voluntary. Okay. And I would recommend, if you're concerned about this, please talk to someone that's more qualified than I am. But I am really rooting for the little guy. That's us, small business owners, to win on this. This is just unnecessary. It's not fair. These are my opinions. I'm not a lawyer. Okay. And you can see right here, this is from the panel on the 26th, right? And right here it says about keeping the status quo. It's really nice. Well, the merits panel now has an appeal which remains expedited and a briefing schedule will issue forthwith. However, in order to preserve the constitutional status quo while the merits panel considers the parties' weighty substantive arguments, that part of the motions panel order granting the government's motion to stay the district court's preliminary injunction and joining enforcement of the CTA and reporting rule is vacated. And that's where we're at right now. Now, the government has thought to stay this, okay, so that you have to file again while they're appealing, but there has been no response to that. So that's where this is at. And once again, Jerry616, I want to thank you for sending me this document. All you out there, have a great day.